matchups done, 2 matchups to go. Welcome back, everyone. You've made it past the halfway point. But before we continue, we have a quick housekeeping to do. Since Dyer's not here, I'll have the pleasure of that for today. We did have a DC in our last matchup. A player from Verno Obami did DC, and he will receive a penalty for that, just so you are aware. Might have been the quickest housekeeping, so let's just get back to the topic. Our next matchup will be Eclipse versus OBOY, followed by the last one, Aegis versus Exodus. But of course, I will not be on my own for the next matchup. And it's once again a special day because just as yesterday, we have another debut. Ali, welcome to the Caster Stacks.
Thank you so much, Flu. It's such an honor to be here.
So, your first matchup, right? It's going to be Eclipse versus OBOY. Can you introduce us to these teams?
Of course, I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup because there's a lot of history between OBOY and Eclipse. So let's start with Eclipse first. We have Andrew, Hitboxes, Courage being the team captain, Manu, Shiro, Center, and V as well. All these players are quite experienced. I would say, actually, from both teams, most players are veterans. Um, Although we do have, I think, Andrew and Sinter that are a bit newer, but still very promising players. So I'm very excited to see what they have in store for us today. And then, would you like to introduce Oboy?
Of course, OBOY also a team full of names that we've heard plenty of times. Didamo, DW, Francesco, Jiggy, Mathis, Nazan, Res, and Slips are on said roster. And Ella, we've talked about this prior. Roster Mania is no stranger to DBD comp. I think by this point, if you've been around for longer, you will have quite some trouble of keeping track of players and their teams. And this matchup is no stranger to this because actually a lot of boys roster have played on Eclipse or vice versa. If we're looking at Eclipse, however, Hitboxes, for example, his debut was back in the day in season 7, so the guy has been around for a while, but it wasn't on Eclipse, it was on OBOY. On the other hand, OBOY's core has been together for 4 years, so on each of these teams, we have veteran players and players with a bunch of experience. Looking at this, Ali, do you think there's any team you can call to be ahead? Any predictions, maybe?
Oh, this is such a tough question. I think it will be interesting to see maybe the synergy, as a lot of both teams have had switch players back and forth, and they definitely know each other. Um, so I wonder if this will be an advantage for them. But otherwise, I really couldn't tell you. I think they both very much have a chance to win. And as we are in the first week of the winter circuit, we are still all on the same foot, and they very much have a chance, I think, to win this. And also, I would like to point out that so far, I think we've only had 2-0 sets, meaning every game we've had, we had 2 wins and the other team lost both sets. So I wonder if this will be the difference here. Maybe we will have a tiebreaker, which will be very, very exciting for us. What do you think, Blueberry?
I agree. I was gonna say the same. I think this might be the first matchup where it won't be a clear 2-0. It might come down to if it's going to be oh boy, the veterans with the most experience taking the lead, or if the rather new roster additions for Eclipse maybe bring a fresh win, something that can give them an edge. Because Andrew and Cinta, like you said, are the newer players, but they're still very promising and no complete strangers to comp, of course. Andrew also a very prominent leather enjoyer, or at least used to be. So they have been around. But let's take a look at the sets that they are going to play. We are going to start out with Ghoul, which is going to be Eclipse's pick, followed by Nightmare, picked by a boy, and our potential tiebreaker, a Mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
Any set you're particularly excited about?
I think Go will be a very fun set. You know, it's very fast paced. Go can be a very impressive killer, can just run around the map very, very quickly. And I think you never get bored. It's not a slow set where nothing happens. This will be hectic. And so I can't wait to see this. Same with, in a sense, the Nightmare, because you can teleport around the map and put a lot of pressure on survivors, especially when they're asleep. I think we won't get bored. And I genuinely think you guys will enjoy these two sets a lot.
And we will have the pressure of casting both of them, for sure. Potentially a tiebreaker, of course, on the Mastermind. But staying focused on the goal, looking at the map that is presented, I know it's not our favorite map for Ghoul because that's saved for potential next main season. However, Almond Lake Mine, it's a rather bigger map, right? So Ghoul does
Mm-hmm.
have some mobility, but I'm still very curious on how he's going to perform on that map, right?
For sure. I think this map has a very strong main building, to be fair. The whole area around main can be quite strong. And I think that's, if anything, a plus for the survivors, as Goal is quite a strong killer already. And I've not really watched any Ormond like mine goal sets before, so I'm very curious to see how this will play out.
It's in general, I feel like a map that we don't see in comp as often anymore, maybe. It feels like the balance team has really cooked this season and I'm very excited. It's one of the changes that I really, really like that we've gotten for Winter Circuit of 2026, especially when we're talking about tiebreakers. That's I thought about this as well when it comes to our set, right? Because we said this not only could be the first matchup where we go into a 2-1, but maybe even a tight set. I feel like that would be a very valid possibility. And then once again, we would go into an Armageddon tiebreaker. So wagering win cons, I'm so here for that. I want to see it.
I know, right? It's so exciting. I really hope we will get a tiebreaker today. If you guys are not familiar with the tiebreaker, it was explained at the start of the stream, but basically both teams will have to bet on a winning condition, and whichever team has a higher winning condition will play this out. And if they do reach that winning condition, they will win the tiebreaker. So this will be very exciting if we do get a tiebreaker.
But for a tiebreaker to appear, we of course need to play our first matchup. And without further ado, we're going right in. Andrew coming out on the killer side for Team Eclipse versus Francesco, Nazon, Jiggy, and our very own Mathis. Let's see how they be able to perform.
We're looking for some survivors here. At this year, we have corrupt intervention already 1 quarter through. We would not want to let that run out naturally, that's for sure. But we still have plenty of time. With goals, mobility, I think that won't be a problem. We would definitely find a survivor here. Although Andrew is struggling to find anyone there, isn't he?
I was about to say, seems like we're hiding out the corrupt, but we do see 3 survivors already on generators. As the corrupt is about to be halfway run out, they're getting a little more ballsy, trying to get some pressure out of the way. You have to wonder if Andrew spotted someone or a crow flying up, because so far, well, we're searching in an empty area.
We are for sure. And I'm quite surprised that they crossed the map so quickly, minding you that they probably spawned in the corrupted gens, and yet they're already all on gens across the map, and the kill didn't catch anyone, no scratch marks, nothing, which is very impressive by the survivor team, I think.
And they're continuing with this impressive stealthing. Andrew just can't seem to find anyone. We did realize that they are already pressuring those generators. We spotted 2 with a lot of progress, but no survivor to be seen. Scratch marks now might finally reveal the position. And there we go, Nazan, the first one to be found. But so late during the trial, you have to wonder if someone's going to rotate back over towards the generator. And we did see a crow flying up. A second one has been spotted.
That is good for Andrew, now finding another survivor, but we are still behind. We need to put that pressure as soon as possible. I see that we also have thanatophobia right now, and yeah, we only have 1 survivor injured. that we're not getting much value so far. We really need to get another hit very, very soon. And we're getting it now. That is good for Andrew. Hopefully, the Norton has been popped yet, so hopefully they can still come back a little bit, put some more pressure, and get their first down right here.
Jiggy, he made a name for himself. Needs to. I was gonna say jiggy it out, but we're back on the floor inside a pallet. Though we know a second survivor is close and they're injured as well. This is a potential slugfest up on the horizon, and Andrew's trying to take that opportunity head on, blocking the pallet off, and there we go, a second one on the floor. Francesco over on the generator, and Mathis already on the task of putting Jiggy back up on its feet. They are apparently close to an almost done generator though, so but you won't be able to finish that. It's a pain resonance deck.
Although the Penrith does not hit Francesco's gens, I think Francesco might be able to pop that one. Now I will say we've seen survivors all around the map scattered not doing gens, and we have our first Penrith. So we are losing a lot of progress here, and I'm really surprised. I thought Andrew would lose at least a gen or two with that rough start, not finding anyone, but it seems like it didn't matter to him. And he's also doing very nice blocks every time, cutting off the survivors from the doors, the windows, and the pallets, which is very, very nice.
Standoff right before our eyes. But the first generator has been completed. Still impressive though that Andrew has managed to get a bit more time out of the survivor's hands. Now finding Mathis at another far progress gen once again, and applying those hits across the board is helping with the thanatophobia, so those generators are now slowed down by quite a bit.
Yes, you're right. 3 injuries. That is very nice for Andrew. Now, we do have at least one, if not two, very high progress gens, and that is quite tricky. Do we commit to a chase here and risk losing a gen? Or do we keep patrolling? But we need to commit eventually, and I think that's what Andrew is doing here, trying to get it down on Mathis.
Oh! We hit that, I guess. Still on the mat. It's trying to go over the pallet, but nope, not working this time. Going for the mind game instead, trying to catch him off guard. A second swipe, but once
Yeah.
again, he makes his way over to the pallet. You have to think. I was gonna say, we're playing this for quite a while. Another generator has been completed, and we're still on our first hook.
Yes, we're still enraged, but it's not really working out so far. I think Mattis is pulling up such a good fight right now, buying his teammates so much time, and for Andrew, it's really rough. We lost 2 gens over that chase. Now, Andrew was right in committing to someone, but that chase was just really, really nicely held by Mattis, wasn't it, Blue?
Absolutely. It hurt so much. It was such a good chase that there was another generator popping,
Oh,
and now using the pain res, you have to fear it might have been a wasted stack because, I mean, two generators just popped. How much progress can there be on different gens?
exactly. I don't think that pain rest stack was very helpful. It must have probably hit a lower progression. And now we are chasing Jiggy with an again enraged. But I don't think we're going to commit. With 1 gen left, we need to get some slugging. Probably try to get some more hits here. We're in a rough spot. Andrew really needs to try and put a lot more pressure here. Try to get something as soon as possible.
To get more stages in order to have a better win con for his team. I have to wonder though why he didn't go for another fresh hook and maybe even take an additional 3 stages. It all comes down to what he thinks he can achieve during this trial. If he thinks he has enough time to get another person on hook before another generator pops, this could be a right call, but it's tricky.
Is this going to be no? Oh my god, this is quite a fun palette to be fair. I think a lot of people are not sure how to loop it, but they're doing such a good job at looping this. And here again, we're losing quite a lot of time on Mathis once more. And I know that we are at least resetting, so there's no jump progress going on right now, which is good for Andrew. And he gets the down. That might be a comeback for Andrew. Do you think Andrew can still come back and maybe get another hook before the last gen pop?
For sure is trying to do so. We got Mathis on a second stage, so potential tunnel out, but we need to keep these survivors in check. We do have only a single stack of Thanatophobia. We did find Nazan again, so the survivors are doing a great job at hiding those fresh stage survivors. And I don't think we'll be able to see them that easily. Taking a quick look back, because one of them would have to rotate over. So, question is, are you gonna go for the fresh or for the tunnel out?
Well, I think he was debating that himself. So we're going for Francisco Fresh. That is fair. I think when the game is at such high stake, already so late into the game, fresh hooks is always privileged. And here we are definitely getting that fresh hook on Francesco, which is good for Andrew. Now, is this going to be enough? Trying their best to set the best winning condition for their teammates. And we're going for a slug. I think that is a great idea by Andrew.
2 pellets to use, 2 pellets dropped. Like, it's nothing. 1 volt over, and it's such an unsafe pellet. We're doing a great job, Naze, and on the loop, getting so much time out of the way for his own team, but eventually, you're down to the front. That was fast enough to maybe get the pickup again on our previous survivor, but he's back up and standing. However, it is a fresh hook that's still on the floor, but we want more.
Okay, we see Andrew is not committing. I was about to say that Nathan had the game in their hand right now with that chase. The more time they can buy the team is the better. But Andrew is not falling for that. They're going right back for the pickup. And it seems like they get it done on our death hook methods. But now a death hook is not as worth it as a fresh hook. So it seems like we're going to keep slugging until we get as many hooks, as much pressure as we can, right?
This would be the ideal scenario for the survivors, of course, but not for Andrew. And he wants more! A swing and a miss, that's detrimental, however. What if your teammates are gonna come in? Mathis is back up and standing, so 1 more stage possibly out the door. Live coming in as well as a body block. This is great coordination by our survivors, making their way towards the exit gate, but only 1 back to healthy, and Kaneki has great mobility, cutting their way off. Now time is running against them, but they're so close to the gate already. Mathis back up and healed, now able to take another hit if he's close enough. These survivors are doing a great job, and they want to take everyone out with them.
They're doing amazing. The hit didn't connect, the bite didn't connect, and now we're gonna get Francisco going down right by the gate. Can we maybe get a heal take on Francisco? We cannot. There is no save happening. We do have a blind. Is that a firecracker? Oh my god, that was insane. Wow, we did not see that coming. That was such a beautiful save. I think Andrew here did not have a choice but to pick up, otherwise Xera would be out of the gate. And that was just so beautifully, such a beautiful escape by the driver team.
Not the flashlight safe in the exit gate, and at some point you just have to admit defeat. The fact that these survivors went out of the gate with 4 people. I'm sorry, but that shouldn't have happened. Wow.
Yeah, that was insane. I'm surprised they all managed to get out with Andrew blocking them from the gate and Ghoul being able to get injuries so easily too. I'm really baffled that they managed to pull this off and all escape together. That is 4 survivors escaping. What a beautiful result, right, Blue?
Absolutely. And way better than the expected result. You expect to at least get a kill, right? I mean, even in this scenario, if you get Mathis, though, that's only 1 additional stage because he has already been on Death Hook. I fear we made a wrong call and we didn't go for the fresh hook. If Andrew would have opted to go for the other person, it would have been 3 additional stages. So I wonder what has made him take this approach. I can only assume it was confidence.
Mm-hmm. Confidence, sometimes also panic when stakes are so high. It's really hard to make the right decision in such times. But I do think that getting that fresh would have been the best option, at least to get a better win count for the team. And now for escapes against Ghoul is going to be very, very tricky for Eclipse. So I'm curious to see how they're going to manage that.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. If you're on the survivor side and you can't really sacrifice anyone besides a person. Like the first person besides one person. The first person has been found. and then that's it. Basically, you sacrifice that person or you're getting them off a hook. But I can see a killer wouldn't go for a camp because it doesn't make sense. If you're on a boy and you're the killer now, you're gonna go for that first stage, and then you don't care about that survivor anymore. You're gonna try to get a second one because that person you can just camp to death and therefore win the set. Which means our survivors internally, they have to be on their toes. They can't afford any mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. I think they have to play pretty much perfectly, and it's uh it's even trickier because Ghoul was Eclipse's pick, so you'd always imagine that they would be more comfortable. So maybe if they're a bit lucky, OBOY is not as comfortable on Ghoul as Eclipse would be, and that could be um, their chance. But still, I think this can be a very very tricky game, and still, I'm sure they're going to try their best, and I I hope they can at least manage to get those gens cranked and maybe all gens popped, regardless of the hooks.
We'll see. I'm so curious how this is gonna go because it's once again such a difficult win condition. However, we have to remind ourselves that this is Eclipse's pick as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine them losing that first set. The next one will be a boy's pick. So I can feel like
Scary.
that's going to be even more pressure. What can you do to kind of deal with that?
That's a great question. I think luckily Nightmare, which is our next set, is a killer that I'm sure Eclipse has played a bunch of times too, and mechanically is not that complicated. I think, although I think that goal is arguably easier to pick up. So here, in this case, I think it's looking very rough for Eclipse's Survivor team. Um, they're going to have to really probably showcase a strong Nightmare in the next set. And even then, that is a boy's pick. So we'll see.
Yeah, we can't get ahead of ourselves. And I mean, hey, in theory, right? A tie would be possible, a win would be possible,
Hmm.
but it's very difficult to achieve. You should still go into the next trial with a mindset of giving it your all and trying it your best. But I mean, you can't be delusional about it either, right? You have to be somewhat realistic. Three hook stages across two fresh. Three hook stages in itself is so difficult, and then two fresh doesn't really make it any better. So, on the survivor side, what is the approach if you go in? I'm assuming hiding out corrupt would be an
For
idea.
sure.
And then, once again, just keeping the survivors hidden and maybe have one person just completely even hidden for the whole trial. Don't even have them rotate over to get the rescue. But once again, the killer is going to be a judge because they're calling the shots, and I doubt that they will go for the first tunnel out. So maybe even altruism will play a big role, taking hits, coordinating on the survivor side. I think coordination in general is just going to be the key word here, right?
I agree with you, definitely. And I still think this map is quite good for the server side. They will have strong loops to use. So if we can pull some really good chases, some nice body blocks, and as you said, one survivor stealthing out properly and stealthing at the corrupt intervention, we might stand a chance. Let's get into it then.
DW, I believe, on the killer side, now only has to get those four stages, or three across three different survivors, of course, that's also an option. And we already found our first target. No way of hiding out anything. Manu finds themselves in. Chase already gets the first hit applied. This is going to be a quick one, maybe. Now we're trying to find any other resources to work with, but we have a second survivor coming in. The coordination already showing themselves, but we don't care for now. Yes, we take a hit to the face, a pallet stun coming in, but it's a second survivor half-life. Already good start.
Indeed, very strong start from the killer already. And I know for the Survivor team, for Eclipse, it is hard right now with this win condition to go in and be motivated and feel confident. It is definitely hard, but it is unfortunate that unlike last game, we found the first survivor so quickly. But now we have Courage putting up a pretty good chase. And is we're going down? Yes, we're going down. On a pallet though, I don't know if a teammate is nearby. Maybe we kind of need to really prevent those hooks here. We cannot make any mistakes, and we need as fewer hooks as possible.
First hook, inevitable. We got the pain resonance in play as well, prepared for an eruption proc, and 2 stacks of Thanatophobia. If you're trying to complete those gens, you have quite a lot of perks working against you. Also, Manu still injured, and look at that mobility. You can check on these different generators so quickly, and it's a familiar face. Manu finds himself back in chase.
It's problems, big problems for Team Eclipse. We do have the unhook happening in the back. Maybe a reset. I'm not sure what their plan is right now, but we might get money going down here. We make it just the hit goes through the window. Oh my god, that is bad news for Team Eclipse, and I am surprised that hit is it's rough. Go has such high mobility, can catch up so quickly, and the cooldowns are also very short.
That was a hit. And it's going to result in the second pain resonance stack. We've managed to get the first generator done, but we already have 2 fresh hooks. Only 1 additional stage can. Well, the survivor can spare only 1 additional hook stage, but it would have to be on Manu or Courage. It can't be on anyone else, which means finding Courage now. Best case scenario for these survivors, but we know DW is aware that he doesn't have to commit this. He can just look for someone else.
That is right, although it does get it done very quickly. Unfortunate, but pretty safe pallet too. So now that is already our tunnel out happening. Crush is so close to dying, and I think one more fresh hook and it's quite it's looking very bad for Team Eclipse. And we do find a fresh hook here with Andrew, who manages to drop the pallet, but the bite still goes through, and now we have the killer being enraged, going back for the tunnel out.
No one else can go down. DW can smell the set win on the horizon. Only 1 more to go. V, the only survivor that could be coming in for taking a hit stage, but it's a grab. Manu's fate is sealed, and therefore the fate of his team is as well. The first set is now going to go to the opponent. Oh boy. They've managed to steal the set pick from their opponent, so they are for sure happy right now. But let's see if these survivors are still going to put up a fight.
Yeah, I definitely think they're doing a good job, and I do also want to say that despite the harsh winning conditions and the morale probably being quite down, they're still trying and doing a good job overall. And maybe we can even get down to a few more gens. That would be great. Just try to get the best result possible at this point, no matter what, even though the win condition has not been met.
So Crush finds himself in chase once again, trying to complete the trial somehow. But we know our killer has got something against that. We're opting for the window instead of the pallets. Trying to vault over, but not quite getting it. Still on the chase. We've got a second generator that has popped in the meantime. Maybe a third one in the making?
I think so.
Hopefully.
Can we vote back? Yes, we make it. Just beautiful vote by Courage, bolting back into the goal. Very nicely done. And I think this chase is actually going quite well for Courage. This allows the team to pop another gen. That's very nice for Eclipse. Maybe another gen could be popped in a bit. Although Courage goes down now, and that is a death. We are going into a 3v1. Not everybody's healthy yet. Manu dead on hook and injured. Although against Ghoul, you get injured very easily. So resetting is always a bit of a tricky question.
It's a decision that has to be thought about quite carefully. A little bit of a peekaboo. Hello, Andrew around the corner now getting another tag as quickly as you've mentioned it before. He's another fresh hook, so we're trying to get even more stages out of the way. I mean, it is a 3v1 with 2 generators remaining. There could be a 4K potentially on the horizon. Andrew finds himself on the floor quite quickly, but this time we're trying to make a slugfest out of it, returning back towards the main building to interrupt that generator once more.
We do have a lot of progress on main generator, which could be Eclipse's best chance at getting down to 1 gen. Now, the killer knows best. I think going for a slug is definitely the right choice here. Trying to catch the survivor that was on the generator, and I think we might catch them. We do have some scratch marks still showing up, and we do see them. Are we going to go for it, or are we going back to the pickup? Because I think V is probably trying to pick Andrew up right now, and they are. They just did. So now we're in Manu, probably trying to just get them out of the game. Going into 2v1 would be nearly impossible for Eclipse. I think the game would be pretty much over by that time, wouldn't it be, a Blue?
I mean, it kind of smells stinky. Kind of smells like a 4K to me because Manu, we will have to wave them bye-bye. A second survivor leaving the trial already. Now the 2v1 with 2 generators remaining. I mean, they just split it between the survivors, right? One for each?
One for each. And they did just reset, so they're at least starting again on a good footing. But it all depends on the next chase. I think whoever is on the gen and the other person being chased, if they pull up a good chase, we could get one more gen pot, and I think that would be the best result that Eclipse could get right now.
Yeah, we're still kind of playing for a win con, right? We're trying to get as many generators out of the way, at least for a fictional win con, that is. So we're not giving up just yet. We, not to be confused with we, the one yapper. Finds himself on the ground quite quickly once again. But this is a difficult one to play against the Ghoul. And look at that, even the generators are somewhat split. I guess we do allow ourselves to circle back over, but it's no problem for a Ghoul. Trying to spot another survivor. We don't see anyone just yet. Let's see if Andra has been hiding in the depth, or maybe even trying to pick up V at some point.
Yeah, I think Andrew's doing a great job at stealthing here. We don't want to rush to the pickup too quickly, as Ghoul can just travel across the map super fast and we could get caught very easily. This is really the best play here. Playing it slowly, playing it safe, making sure that our killer doesn't find us so that we can eventually get the pickup. We do have 2 gens nicely progressed too. So if we can get that pickup, restart, go for another long chase, maybe the gen can blow. Let's see.
The survivor to be in the basement, and we were right. Hendrik's been spotted. So no more generator progress. The only thing DW now has to do is close this thing off. We've lost chase for a second. Nice walk tech on Andrew. Even still trying to put up a performance, turning around, cutting him off. There is a pellet being dropped, but no stun just yet. Trying to vault over, great attempt. Still gets the tag. Nice one.
What some beautiful plays from the killer, trying to cut Andrew off through the hole, and then that really nice back, and we get the pickup, but it's not going to be enough. Unfortunately, V just goes right back down, and Andrew does not have much here. We do have the main building being quite strong, and I think 1 or 2 pallets left around here, but I don't know how long they can last, and I don't think they'll be able to pick them up again without having to trade. What do we do here, Blue?
We hope and pray. I don't think. I mean, like I said, we can't be delusional about this, I guess. So sometimes you just gotta admit defeat. So Andrew will receive his fresh hug now, as well as V. So this will spell a 4K on 2 generators remaining, and once again, I mean, the first set has been taken for quite a while now. OBOY is opening up this matchup with a performance that's looking for a twin out there. Like, we haven't seen this great of a performance At least not today.
I agree. I think they definitely set the tone here for the rest of the day. I am surprised for a set that did not even pick. What a beautiful result they got. And I do think Eclipse put up a really nice fight, but that was impressive. And now to think that we're going into their pick being the Nightmare, I am scared to see how this is going to go.
I mean, if you're a boy, you are confident. You're light as a feather and probably very energetic. I mean, they themselves said they are coming in with tremendous motivation. They're eager to play again. They even called this the big old boy comeback of 2026. So they are trying to, well, make a name for themselves again, or maybe live up to their past reputation and even exceed it. And we've seen a few nightmare trials before today, and there was, I think, we've had the same killer builds twice. Everyone brought, for example, the Sloppy Butcher. Do you think we can expect that with these two teams as well?
I think so, for sure. We're probably going to get another Sloppy. It makes a lot of sense on Freddy. And we'll be again on the same map as well, right? Sanctum of Wrath. I think it's quite an interesting map as it often has. Well, it is split in two parts, which means there's often going to be a 3 gen, if not 4 gen. And this is tricky for the servers. Now they have to figure out how to break that 3 gen. And maybe here that could come into play for winning condition if we do have a 3 gen. I think that could be quite interesting. What do you think, Blue?
I can just agree. Of course, the map has been quite a new one, as you said. Also, with the choke point, it's going to be an interesting dynamic. It's not as bad as, for example, Azeroth's. I think Will has mentioned that before as well. And eager to see how different teams will perform on the map and if they will use the
Mhm.
resources differently than maybe what we've have seen before. Like we've said on Eclipse, we do have two newer players or new additions. So maybe new ideas, a fresh wind to come into comp and maybe switching it up a little bit.
For sure, I'd love to see that. I'm very, very eager to see them play, and it's not going to be a very easy map, I think, for them. It's not easy to cross this map too. The killer can have a very, very good control over this. Um, and I assume we're probably going to see some corrupt intervention again, if I were to guess.
For sure. It's been the most used perk so far, which it doesn't really come as a surprise,
Can't
right?
blame them.
But it makes sense. I also love that we're going back to the old days where we're trying to hide out the corrupt, which can be an important tool, right? So the first chase is always going to be, or you always try to have your first chase within the corrupted area. But if you don't have a chase, we have that many more options for our survivors to attack those generators, to split them, and to make it that much more difficult for a killer to hold a 3 gen. 3 generators, especially on maps like these, will be important though, anyways.
It will be important. And I'm also curious regarding corrupt intervention. We had survivors on OBOY's team stealthing out the corrupt, if I'm not wrong, against Ghoul. And I wonder if they would try to do the same, maybe play it slowly at the start, try to wait out the corrupt to get as much pressure as they can on the server team. And also, earlier we mentioned the dream palettes. I thought that was quite interesting if we're going to use them or not. And I think this is one thing for Free that's really great to simply be able to set up the palettes and such at the start of the game, have more time to set up properly without losing too much gem progress. So I think there's definitely such a good perk on the Nightmare.
It gives you some opportunity for sure. And we've seen two very different starts in the beginning of our last two trials, right? We've had the one team we have had OBOY that's been hiding our crop quite well, but as soon as we've had corrupt run out for about half of its time, we've seen three people attack those generators. Probably because a fourth survivor called, "Hey, guys, I'm about to get found, hop on those gens." So, this type of communication will also be needed for the survivors of Team Eclipse. They found themselves in a chase very early during our last trial. We got 2 very early hits. Let's hope that this start of the trial will be better for them, because we are about to dive in to the map once again for our third trial of this matchup.
Or loading and already setting up some dream palettes. We are not wasting any second here. Looking for survivors to in the distance, main building being just so nice for the killer. They can get so much information. Look at how much vision we have on all the map. It's so good. And see, here we go. We have Andrew trying to cross the map again. As I said earlier, it's tough to cross this map, and we have our first chase super early on. We cannot wait out the corrupt intervention. We have to get on those gens. Now the killer might simply also try to go for a hit and run for Sloppy Butcher and get some more value and stop all the survivors from starting those gens.
Andrew already on a great run, connecting the pallet into a window, however can't seem to find his way back towards it. Now trying to look for another resource to keep DW off of his chase, trying to stay alive for that much longer. Another pallet able to be used, but already we've used quite some time.
Beautiful mind games. Well, nicely done by Andrew though, for lasting quite a while and also dying into the corrupted gen. As you mentioned earlier, it's quite important to try and have the first death spot into the corrupted gen so that our other teammates can push the other gens on the other side of the map in the meantime. But that was some really nice manking, wasn't it?
He definitely knows how to use them to his advantage. It worked perfectly and rewarded him with his first hook stage, as well as the first pain resonant stag, and we find themselves out in the open, or rather out in the bush, but not hidden well enough. First hit coming in, and we find ourselves back on the same pallet and ruffle hook. So 3 positions known, only 1 person that's able to work on the generator, of which none have popped yet. V back on the ground, but we don't need to take that. We can try and interrupt the reset. We can try and get that first tunnel out.
Very brave by the killer, but I love that. I think it's so good. You get so much pressure here by slugging instead of hooking. Interrupting the heal would be amazing. And I think here what happened with V is that they were asleep and they might have not realized that the Nightmare was coming their way. I do think there might have been some communication issue within the team. Maybe they did not seem to know that they were headed their way. So that was a bit strange for sure. Now we have a chase on Courage with balance ending seemingly. Let's see how this plays out.
Timing, getting another vault, but somewhat summoning yourself, but the exit is in the right direction towards the mid-map, and we also get rewarded on the survivor side with the first generator popping. We don't like that, however, so we're gonna go back on top of the main building, trying to get an overview of the situation, reevaluate our preferences, maybe our next targets.
Okay, looking around Shack again, finding our first hooked Andrew. That could be potentially tunnel out. Now I don't know if Killer's plan is really to get tunnel out. And we have a beautiful head on by V, I believe, who's also injured by the way. I wonder if they're going to try and act as sort of tank for our tunnel out. Or maybe try and take hits for them, handle for them. A tricky firecracker too, my god.
We're sending everything their way, and that's really good on the survivor side. Kind of managed to get them out of the danger zone, at least for now. We did find Cinta in front of ourselves again, however, but what can you work with? V is still our objective. The one we're trying to put back on the ground, and preferably even back on hook. We don't make it towards the pallet. Another down, eruption proc in the distance as well, so more penalty on those generators. I do like, however, that these survivors are trying to coordinate themselves and are managing to work through the Sloppy Butcher.
For sure, and I see that they keep waking up too, which is really great. The whole time, most survivors were awake as far as I know, which is very, very important against Freddy. You don't want to give them any more power, don't want to give them any more information, and not to forget that the Nightmare can teleport to survivors when they are healing if they are asleep, which is a huge advantage, which they did not let him have, I believe.
just one more task on the list for the survivors. But for now, no more tasks to be done for Kurosh. You get to lie down, yeah? You can take a little break on the floor and replenish your energy because the W is not spending any thoughts on trying to get him on the hook to get the third pain resonance. We are trying to snowball this. Finding Sint, however, probably not the survivor we were looking for. V, however, presenting himself so beautifully right in front of our very own eyes. This is exactly what we were looking for.
This is so much better, yes. We already have one hook on V. They are asleep and injured. This is the most perfect thing for our killer right now. We do not want to chase Sinter, who is healthy, and it could go into a very long chase here. It's actually a pretty nice loop, but I think V is going down, unfortunately. They did put up a good fight, however, and we have 2 gens popped in total. Maybe we get a third one soon, hopefully. We are slowly getting more and more hooks, so that will be good.
Slowly but surely, the hook stages are adding up. A second one onto V, so a potential tunnel out on the horizon. Now, spotting Kurosh again. But still, we don't really like to go after him. I don't know, he doesn't have the same intriguing. Ooh, maybe he does actually. We're trying to commit this now, but there's not too much to work with for him. One window and a dream pellet, maybe even a dream, but the nightmare is catching up and putting him to the ground.
It was a rough spot, and here we go for fresh on Crush now. We still want to look for V though. They are dead on hook and still injured. That could be huge. And a very nice stun too, but Andrew going into a chase now. Are we going to commit to this chase? I don't think so. We have a gen that just popped now. This is looking more and more tense for the killer actually, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been slugging a lot right now. Crush now also back up and standing. The thing is, at some point you might want to go for the survivor even if he's a fresh hook, right? You do have another pain resonance that you can use to slow these generators down because by now, only 2 gens remaining. We need to up the pressure a bit further. Yes, we have 3 injured survivors. So let's say if we can get some control out of this.
Doesn't matter, killer knows where a lot of survivors are placed at the moment. Knowing the survivor's location is so huge for the killer. And also, I wonder if maybe we were a bit greedy with our slugs, right? It does seem like the last time it did not really pay off. We got the pickup, and in exchange, nothing. So we need to be careful here that, yes, we do want to slug for more pressure, but we don't want to slug and lose gens and pickups over chases that are too long, right?
Kura is just trying to be the edge map and he figured he'd just get put on the ground again, but finally he's getting his first hook. Oh, I was scared for that pellet to be used. Alright, rotating over. And we're already set up for the rescue. Very fortunate for the survivors. And reset coming in as well. Sint, however,
Asleep.
back in the dream state. Really nice timing on the wake up.
They definitely are paying attention, and I really respect that. As soon as they went into deep sleep, they stopped healing to make sure to wake each other up, not give the killer information or possibility to teleport to them, because that could be big problems for our survivors.
Bloody hell indeed, Andrew. In chase. Now needs to take one for the team. Lyth coming in as well as Dance with me. Able to make some distance and reach the next resource. A pallet able to be vaulted, but for how many times? The 50 is lost and the hit is being applied. Half-Life back into the dream state. But apparently his nightmare has chosen to haunt someone else.
It has indeed. And we're on course again. Might be easier to get. It seems like this is a little less safer. And we are in next to the gens of interest, I believe. Yes, we are next to the gen that's being repaired, which is big problems. Unlike Andrew, who was. And we missed the head on. How unfortunate. That could have been such a clutch. Ave.
The pain resonance. The third one coming in. The survivors now need to be careful to not lose sight of their objective. They need to complete those generators, but so far it doesn't seem like we have too many that will be able to work on that. Andrew is refusing to get reset right now and trying to get some more pressure out of the way, but V finds themselves on the floor, so this is potentially turning into a 3v1, and I don't think that our killer will pass on that opportunity.
Oh, that's for sure. And I think here the escape is going to be very hard. The best you can hope for right now is just one more gen. Try to get the best win condition as possible. We are going to the 3v1 with some injuries already into 3v1 with a chase going on an injured survivor. That's big problems. But we dodged the hit with light. How long for? And we panic a little bit and get down here. Well played. Nice try, though. Well played by the killer, but nice try with the light. I think that was a good idea. Might have been wiser to simply leave the loop altogether.
Sometimes you need to hit the W to make a decision. And DW is deciding to leave Andrew on the floor looking for someone else, and he is successful in that. Kurosh finds himself in the danger zone. The pallet is dropped, but it doesn't really help him as it's a dream pallet. Kurosh on the floor and will be the second person eliminated. Sinta, the last person standing, still a fresh hook, but how much more can he achieve?
I know that we have some gen progress going on right now, but I think with two people left, one that just got picked up, I can hardly see them popping that at least one more gen, right? I think here they're going to have to play super safe, make sure they don't get caught unnecessarily, but we already have a chase going on center here. We need Andrew to crank a gen as soon as possible. Now, I don't think it will be enough. We already got a first hit here. This is looking rough. A killer is not committing. They really want to make sure that that gen doesn't pop, and I love that. They were not risking anything. They really want the win conditions to be 4K too, and they're going to just stick to that.
Very respectable. And it seems like he's made the right choice, being able to interrupt Andrew. And once again, we're caught in the same area that we've had our very first chase, so no more resources, only a window to play with, and we know. But that won't be enough. Picking out once again. It's not a fresh hook, so not another pain resonant stack, but at this point, we know the generator that Andrew has been working on is one with a lot of progress, but there has been a second one. Well, we need to interrupt that quickly, but it seems like we'll find it.
Yeah, I think I think the killer can definitely relax now. The game looks like it's about to end. It's really unfortunate. I did see Andrew last chase trying to do a window fake, did not work. And as Cynthia was trying to push that gen as soon as possible with 75% progress roughly. Oh, and we hit through the pallet. Nice try. Honestly, it was ballsy hit, but it worked out. We did not get to shot the pallet in time. Well done. Beautiful performance from both sides. I think Trevor put up a really nice fight, but our killer was something else.
Yeah, very determined. A 4K on 2 generators remaining. We like that. We like that a lot. We've had similar scorelines prior, but we've also had a scoreline of only 3 stages. For the sake of Eclipse's killer, we hope that history won't repeat itself.
We do indeed. And I think, well, this was meant to be OBOY's set, and they definitely did not disappoint. I think this was definitely expectable, unexpectable result from them. So now can they beat that score? I think it's definitely doable still. Do you think they still have a chance at winning the set? Eclipse, I mean, and going into a tiebreaker.
Well, anything is possible, right? In theory, anything is possible. Andrew needs to be really, really quickly with a tunnel out to be able to keep those generators at bay, but with only 2 gens remaining, it is a hard win condition. Also, maybe worth mentioning once again, we have the team set their perk builds prior to the matchup, right? So
Mhm.
now knowing the win con, you can adjust accordingly. So whatever they've chosen is set in place. And especially on win cons like these, this can affect our players quite heavily.
For sure. And I think speaking of perks, I believe that we had a Metal Man last game, and I don't think I got to see um, any value from that perk, and I would have really loved to see that. But unfortunately, I think they were all a bit too overwhelmed, and we did see them trying to go for head-on saves, and a hit or two, but it didn't really work out too well in the end. It was a good attempt, and I do wonder if the team, so oh boy, will have Metal of Man this time, and if they're going to be able to use it.
Well, hopefully. We always want our teams to get the most, using the most value out of their perks. But what you said, I think, was we've been able to see throughout the whole trial. I think we've seen great attempts of Eclipse
Mm.
survivors. We know they know that they need the communication. They know that they need to play altruistic and when a head-on stun would be useful and when you're able to take that risk, but it just hasn't always worked out the way they planned it to. So we still see a survivor team that knows the ins and outs of what needs to be done and when, but I think maybe they're just still lacking a little bit of communication. At least that's what it seemed like before. But maybe if we get into a third set, possibly, hopefully, they were able to prove us wrong in that sense.
Definitely, we did see a few communication issues here and there, but there might also be under a lot of pressure having lost that first set. I know it gets to your mental sometimes, and things can go downhill very quickly. Still, I did see also some good communication when it came to head on stunt, for example. That was lovely. And I was going to say that for Eclipse now, it will be a bit tricky because there are very similar survivors. I've probably practiced against a Nightmare a lot, and Nightmare is an M1 killer who relies a lot on survivors' mistakes, right? So if they play this perfectly, if the survivors, oh boy, survivors play this perfectly, it's going to be very hard for Eclipse's killer to just simply meet that winning condition, right? To get good chases and quick downs.
Eclipse's killer is going to be Andrew, and absolutely, he's somewhat reliant on those survivors making mistakes because these survivors only have to complete a fourth generator in order to take not only the set win but the matchup win. If you will, this is a potential match point, and we know the survivors are locked and ready. Let's see if Andrew
Mhm.
can make it happen for Team Eclipse.
So much pressure on Andrew, isn't there? Trying to fence the survivors already. We did spot someone on the right that was trying to cross the map, but we are busy setting up our dream palettes first. We're not in a rush. We do want to have a good setup game before we get into any chase. I think that's quite important. And we do find someone else here again. That is Nathan, headed towards Shack. Do we want to chase into Shack? I'm not sure about that. We are teleporting now back to the other side to try and find someone trying to whip. And we do find Jiggy. Very nice.
Jiggy, the man, the myth, the legend, now finding themselves in front of Andrew, and he's oh making some right choices, avoiding the first hit. And second swing is going to connect, however. So Jiggy no half life, but he is bringing Chase into the right direction, into the corrupted area, and we've already seen a teammate who's coming in to try and take a hit, and does so successfully. Yes, two survivors are being injured, but we do see the exact coordination that we might have been missing in the last trial.
Oh, nice check spots. This is
Ooh.
such a scary tile. Oh, and we do get it down. Andrew was not phased by that at all. And that's our first one already quite early on, to be fair. We don't have that much gem progress, which is looking really good for Eclipse.
Let's see if we can even get a pain resonance stack. Survivor's already setting up for the save. Not a pain rest stack just yet, so we are very careful with our resources. First down is coming so quickly that Andrew decided to keep that one for the later game. Or didn't have a pain resonance hook available. We don't know that, of course. But even technically, it's a valid decision. Also, already prepping a possible eruption proc, and now you just have to try and spot someone who's making their way over for the reset. Or we go for interrupting the generator, of course.
And we do find someone trying to hide into the corner. And about the pinners, I do wonder if maybe we're trying to keep it as we maybe the Andrew knew that there was not that much gen progress yet, or if we simply have maybe a bad hook spawn for the pin resonance. Now we're looking again for our survivor that we just seem to have lost, which is a bit problematic because now we're losing some pressure. The unhook happened, and we might even get a reset.
It seemed like the first hook stage came in almost for free. If the first generator doesn't pop very soon, that's already a really good start. Finding ourselves in chase. Nice, and with a nice pellet stun coming out, even manages to zone himself towards more resources away from the map corners and borders. Once again, it's a rock pellet. Decision making and reaction times not going to help him for now. Nayland finds himself on the ground and will be put on hook.
Andrew putting a lot of pressure on Nathan, making him vote. That was well done. But I do think these are just equally as good in 50-50s. It's always so fun to see out in Rival. They did get a really nice stun too. And we see now Rez with that gem progress. We might get our first gem pop very soon. And that Jiggy is in the chase. We need Jiggy to last as long as possible. At least 20 more seconds or so, just so we can pop that last gen. That would be really good for our survivor team.
Jiggy, 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 can't you see? The killer's not vaulting yet. Oh, just barely makes the window himself. Generator, we see them. The progress is slowly but surely adding up. Andrew leaving him immediately, but finally we have the first generator out of the way. It will be accomplished though, while Nathan finds himself back on the ground. And this is very good for Andrew. Now seeing, however, that the generator has a lot of progress, we might be hoping to find someone else. It's a second gen. A third one would already spill the tie, and this is no pain resonance. Look, Jiggy still has a pain res stack, but Nathan doesn't.
Exactly. Jiggy would have been the perfect down here to get that pain res just in time to prevent more gens from buffing, but we do have that gen Rez is working on so high progress, and with that head on, we are definitely popping that third gen. And we're already going into a win con.
Mathis finds himself on the edge map, but that's not particularly important. Just keep the chase away from the generators and your teammates should be golden. Nazan's probably still gonna get pulled. We have another pallet, but oops! Here we go. Did not expect that Mathis on the ground, and he's another pain resonance stack. Question is, do you think you have enough time to put him back on the hook, or are we trying to go for a snowball here?
It does sound like we're slugging Mathis right now, which I think might be the right play. Look at Rez's gen, how progressed it is. We could also get a pain res stack on Mathis, and we also would love to find Jiggy still injured, asleep even, and we do get that nice hit on Rez, preventing that gen from being popped. That is such an important gen here. We do not want the gen to pop at all costs. Now we need to get a really quick down, otherwise look at this other gen also has so much progress. We're in a really rough spot for Andrew right now. I bet they're under so much pressure.
But this is the best worst case scenario, right? You're chasing within the two generators that have the most progress. You're finding a fresh hook survivor, so another pain resonance stack that can be applied. And the other survivors are injured, so they would have to go for reset. We will be able to interrupt this one once again, but I don't know if we can prevent it from completion.
We're in such a good spot right now for OBOY's team. I think here we have so many gens spread across the map on two different sides. So much progress. We were getting the reset. Now, however, Andrew did find our death hook survivor, Nathan, was trying to first soccer, making sure we're not slugging, but they're running to the gen that had so much progress. That is problems for our team. Can we get a fast down here? Maybe get back to Jiggy. If we can even get a slug there. We get to pallet, and that is a
Oh!
nice, beautiful dream pallet. Well done, Andrew.
First time Dream Pallet value off today, at least when it comes to a hit. Nazan back on the floor, but Andrew is running out of time. Got no time to put him on the hook. We find Jiggy once again, but there it is. The fourth generator, and it feels like this has been inevitable. The win of this set is gonna go to Oh Boy. They managed to get the opponent's map pick right away, or set pick right away, and then follow it up with a win on their own. So let's see how they're going to finish this trial. Cheeky try for a hit through the window. Nice. We like it.
I absolutely love that hit to the window. Now I'm sure Andrew's also getting a little bit frustrated. Shaq is really not that fun to loop sometimes, and with all the gen pressure and trying their best to really get more slugs, get more downs, it's a lot. And I think here it's mental is probably struggling a little bit. We're still going strong though, and we have so many injured survivors around this area. That's definitely promising. And now we do find our only healthy survivor, and that will be our fourth injury with Sloppy Butcher. That is gonna be a bit rough for a reset here, isn't it?
Yeah, and everyone's injured, right? You kind of want the reset. Raz already back up and healthy. You need to go for a full reset because of the Sloppy Butcher, so no 99 heals available. Jiggy finds himself on the ground, so will be the next one put on hook. I can only imagine that a lot of pressure is now off of Andrew's shoulder. I hope he could really enjoy the rest of this trial. I'm sure these survivors are already celebrating it, but still trying to put their best foot forward and trying to get those outs out of the gate.
Yeah, I think that was a tough run. I think Eclipse probably gave it their all, and it was so difficult. Oh boy, came back so strong. I think both games they played were just incredibly uh, well played, and on both sides even. And they did say they were trying to come back. They were motivated, and I think it really, really shows. I'm amazed by Team OBOY today, and I also think that Team Eclipse showed a lot of resilience, and despite the tough conditions, they still try their best and they still push through till the end, and I really respect that.
The cheeky standoff, but missed timing on Mathis' end. But yeah, we really respect the survivors and the killer are still going through with it. Jiggy around Mathis. We're now trying to go for those prediction swings, but we're already on the window that we've seen plenty of times today. The gates, however, are open. Question is if they're going to rotate back in to try and get some more people out of the gate. Maybe save Mathis since he is the fresh hook, but he's Andrews and he's not going to let him go.
Oh yeah, I don't think Mattis is coming out. It does sound like they might try to go for a save, but question is it worth it? It's always nice to see them trying to get the best result possible. Here we have Rez, probably a little too eager to get that unhook or maybe the attention. Okay, that was a perfect distraction. Now we do get in hook, but everybody's injured and the gates are nowhere close. How are we going to make it to that when we have a teleport on our killer, right?
Yeah, I mean, Andrew doesn't have a problem reaching the gates, right? But with choosing to cut them off like this, he's also
Okay.
enabling them for resets. Rest has already been very far across the map, however, but if he gets, well, he's going to get hooked. On this side of the map, we have a hook closer towards the gate, so we will have to pick up and put him on one very quickly if you don't want him to be too close.
I also want to point out we had a sort of teleport fake here, and I do think them trying to reset with Sloppy Butcher could prevent the heal quite a lot, right? It would make the heal go down very, very fast, and it might be just a little bit of help, but it's quite significant in the end.
On stage to save. It doesn't matter who potentially gets down again. Unless it's Mathis.
Mhm.
But time's also running out. Not on the side of the survivors. There's a last attempt that they can make, and no one went for the reset. The first hit is got applied. Now the pull is coming in, but we need to make a run for it, Ali. Look at the time.
I think we need to make a sprint for it. We are running out of time. The endgame collapse is going strong. We have no one on the floor to slow it down a little bit. We are far from the gate, but it seems like Nia's got a really, she's really fast right now. And we're actually making it out? I don't think so. It seems like we still have two servers in the back. One being healthy. Could it maybe take a hit? We seems like we're Let's run. Yeah, here she is. Okay, do we get that though? This is looking so messy. We are blocking her from getting out, and I don't think they will be able to get in time. Do we get 3 kills potentially from the game collapse?
He has left
Awesome.
the team behind. 3 people being sacrificed to the end game collapse. A beautiful scenery to close off this trial. Wow, I mean, it was really fun to watch, but not necessarily what we expected, right?
No, I wasn't sure what to expect going into this, and I'm quite surprised. Again, I think Oh Boy had an outstanding performance today.
And they are entering our 2-0 winning
Mhm.
champions